Did you give them my details?
Because you've given me your details.
Right, that's against the law. It's a breach of my personal data. You should not have done that.
Paid.
You have not. You should not have done that.
You haven't paid.
You know that you should not have done that.
You haven't paid.
Welcome to UK Audit Network, where we expose misconduct, examine police and legal issues, defend rights, and demand accountability. This episode comes from Auditor Brett Chamberlain, so check the link below, subscribe to his channel, and give him the credit he deserves. In this installment, Brett delivers another explosive coin audit. After filling up at a Sainsbury's petrol station, he attempts to pay using pure silver Royal Mint coins. Staff refuse the payment, call police, and even toss his money around. When an officer arrives, she appears completely out of her depth, misstates the law, and interferes with Brett's rights so badly he has to contact his solicitor. The performance was so poor that even her own inspector later confirmed she would require retraining.
You've handed over the coins as tender.
Yeah.
Obviously it is legal tender, you are correct.
Yeah.
But as Sainsbury's, we aren't obliged to take that because we are unable to bank that here. So unfortunately we will have to ask for some other means of payment to purchase that fuel.
What do you think legal tender actually means?
Pardon?
What do you think legal tender means?
I'm not into a debate about that. We're not accepting that as a tender here. It's a private company.
So you accept it as legal tender?
Yeah, but we can't bank that here. We don't have the means to bank it, so we don't accept it.
That's not my problem if you can't bank it, is it?
Well, yeah, but we don't accept it.
Well, you already have.
No, we haven't. You just put it down.
No, I gave it to the lady and she put it in her hand.
So, have you got any other means of payment?
That is my means of payment.
So, have you not got any other means?
But that is my means of payment.
Well, and we can't accept that means.
Brett makes a crucial point the moment the employee physically takes the coins into her hand. At that instant, the debt was discharged, payment had been made. While businesses can set policies refusing certain forms of Royal Mint coinage before a transaction begins, that wasn't the case here. The fuel was already in the vehicle, the goods had been consumed, creating a debt. Once a debt exists, legal tender must be accepted. You cannot accept lawful payment and then dismiss it because it's inconvenient to process. This is where Sainsbury's, and later the officer, went wrong. They blurred the line between convenience and legality.
To payment, or do we just need to process it as a civil recovery issue?
Well, I've paid.
Well, you haven't. We haven't accepted it.
You don't need to. Well, you have accepted it.
We haven't.
Well, I haven't got the money, have I? You've got the money.
Well, we can give it back to you.
Well, I don't want it back. Are you a police officer?
Yes.
Right, can you identify yourself, please? What number are you?
1866, Bridgewater Police Station.
Mrs. Bradshaw, Miss Bradshaw.
That's correct. Miss.
Hi, Miss.
Sorry.
Right.
So they've asked for another form of payment because
Yeah.
they can't accept this form. Have you got another form of payment on you?
That is my payment.
Right, okay, but that's not tender that they can accept.
Yes, it is.
They're asking for another form
Yes,
of
it
payment.
is. Let me explain something to you. When you was training to be a police officer at the beginning, yeah, you swore an oath, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what the first sentence of the oath was? It was to serve the Queen faithfully.
Correct.
Right. Now those coins are legal tender by royal proclamation of the Queen herself.
Okay.
Right. She's authorised within the legislation for the Royal Mint to create those coins, and when she proclaimed them to be legal tender, she said that they are legal tender for payment throughout the United Kingdom.
When the officer arrives, she repeats what Sainsbury's staff tell her as though store policy overrides statute. Brett immediately challenges that thinking by referencing the oath sworn by police officers to serve the Crown faithfully. These coins weren't scrap metal. They were declared legal tender by royal proclamation under Section 2 of the Coinage Act 1971. It is the Crown, through the Royal Mint, that determines legal tender in the UK. Brett wasn't offering opinion. He was citing the very authority she is sworn to uphold. By connecting her oath to the law, he highlighted how untenable her position truly was.
They've allowed me to take goods, and then pay after the event. When the fuel goes into my vehicle, it becomes my fuel, but then it becomes a debt. Okay, now the whole point of legal tender is that you can use it to pay a debt. As the Queen said, it's for payment throughout the United Kingdom.
Okay.
So they don't have to accept it, and if they was to give it back to me, it would negate the debt. Okay, it's not a police matter; it's a civil dispute. So really, you know, I mean, really, you should be telling them that it's a civil dispute.
I've just spoken to them and said about the document whereby you can come back and pay within 24 hours. They're saying that they don't want to accept the tender that you've given them. Is there an alternative method?
I'm not going to pay in any other way. I've already paid. Okay, and regarding that document, it's called a no means to pay document, isn't it? Right, I'm not filling out a no means to pay document when I have got the means to pay and I've paid. It's almost like an acceptance that I haven't got the means to pay when I have.
The officer then attempts to push a no means to pay document onto Brett. That form is intended for situations where someone genuinely has no way of paying, forgotten wallet, failed card, or no funds available. It allows the person to acknowledge the debt and agree to return later to settle it. But that didn't apply here. Brett had the means to pay. He held legal tender issued by the Royal Mint. That alone removes the situation from the no means to pay category. Forcing him to complete the form was an attempt to rewrite reality, pretending a lawful payment didn't exist simply because they didn't want to handle it.
May I take your name, please?
No. Oh, yes you will, because I'm driving.
Sorry?
Yes you can, because I'm driving. Sorry. There you go. Although technically, parked up on private land. I'll be going soon, as soon as I've finished dealing with it.
Is that the money?
No, I don't want that. If you give it back, then it negates the debt. Did you see that, officer? Officer?
Yes,
I've paid and she's thrown the money back in.
They've asked for another form of
No,
payment.
she's thrown the money back in. Do you understand? Can you explain to them that that negates the debt? You can't pay someone and then they just throw the money back at you.
Do the paperwork.
Do you want to remind them of that?
Yeah, so that's the details of the transaction, sir, okay?
Ma'am, can you show it to me? I paid it though.
Yeah, but it's unacceptable tender.
Officer, did you witness them give me the coins back, didn't you? And when I have paid, yeah?
I've witnessed them give you the coins back. I've also witnessed them say that it's unacceptable tender. They're not willing to accept it. Therefore, they've asked for another form of payment. You haven't provided it, so that's hence why they're giving you the form.
Well, I don't want that.
When the officer asks Brett for his name while he's seated behind the wheel, he is legally required to provide it. Under the Road Traffic Act 1988, a driver of a motor vehicle on a road or public place must give their name and address when requested by a uniformed constable. That obligation applies regardless of the surrounding dispute. So, in that moment, Brett had to comply. But what follows raises serious questions. Moments later, a Sainsbury's employee returns with a no means to pay form already completed with Brett's details, despite him never signing or agreeing to it and having clearly offered legal tender. The obvious question is, how did they obtain his information?
Can you give these coins back to her, or can you keep them as evidence?
I'm not giving the coins back.
Well, you do realise it negates the debt anyway.
They haven't accepted
Well, I don't want that either, and that's nothing to do with me. I would like a receipt though, please.
You've been
I
served
can't
with
give you
it.
a receipt. The transaction's still outstanding, I'm afraid.
Do they have to give me a receipt for VAT purposes?
You haven't paid for
I
it
have
because they
paid.
haven't accepted the tender.
I have paid. They had it in their hand. They threw it back in the car.
Okay, but they
You
haven't
witnessed they
accepted,
threw it
they
back
haven't
in.
accepted the tender, so therefore there isn't a
So
payment.
it's for, as I said to you earlier, the Queen said that
I
these.
understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
and you've obviously done your research.
Yeah.
What they're saying is it's not a acceptable form of tender. They're not accepting it, therefore the debt hasn't been paid.
But you're an
hence
officer of the
why-
law, aren't you? You're a sergeant or just a PC?
PC. Hence
Yeah.
why they've given you this, because they want you to pay in another acceptable form of tender.
So what do you think? If they said that they didn't want to accept a £50 note and threw the £50 notes back in, yeah, and then gave me that, would you think that's reasonable?
Well, you
Or £20
have to offer
notes.
another form of payment.
Brett dismantles the argument with a simple analogy. If someone handed over a £50 note and the store threw it back, then insisted on a no means to pay form, would anyone consider that reasonable? The logic is identical. Once legal tender is offered, the debt is settled. Refusal lies with the business, not the customer. Yet the officer fails to grasp this, repeating that Brett should offer another payment method. That isn't law, it's preference. By siding with convenience over statute, she transformed a resolved debt into an unnecessary confrontation. That's the point where her position truly began to collapse.
So say I had 50s and £20 notes, okay, and I went in there to pay them, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we don't accept those," right? Yeah, but even though this is theoretical, yeah, we don't accept those, and I say, well, I've paid, and I've left the money on the counter, and they came in and threw them back in the car, would you still be saying that it's up to me to pay in some other way?
But they just said that's an acceptable form of tender.
Yeah, but it's not down to them as to whether it's acceptable or not. It's down to the state.
They don't deem that acceptable.
It's down to the state. It's not for them to
right.
choose.
Well, they've served you with this. They haven't accepted payment.
I don't want that. That's nothing to do with me.
Right, okay, well, you've seen it. She's showing you it.
Yep.
Okay?
I don't know what it is. I don't even know what it is. What is it? I haven't signed any. What is it? No means to pay form or something like that? How did they get my details? Did you give them my details?
Because you've given me your details.
Right, that's against the law. It's a breach of my personal data. You should not have done that.
Paid.
You have not. You should not have done that.
You haven't paid.
You know that. You should not have done that.
You haven't paid.
As the officer holds up the form, Brett immediately notices something alarming. His name is already written on it. He challenges her directly. She admits she provided his details to the store, reasoning that since he gave them to her, it was acceptable. That admission raises serious data protection concerns. The officer obtained Brett's information under powers granted by the Road Traffic Act, strictly for road traffic purposes. Sharing it with a private supermarket in what is fundamentally a civil dispute is a misuse of that authority. Police have a duty to safeguard personal data, not distribute it for corporate convenience. Instead of addressing this breach, the officer continues repeating, "You haven't paid," ignoring the wider implications of her actions.
You've given them. I'll be lodging a complaint about this.
Okay,
You know you're going to be in trouble for that, don't you? No.
You're not.
You know that you're going to be in trouble for that, don't you? Because you're not allowed to give them my personal details. Breach of my data. Police giving private corporation my details. They threw the money back in the car. We'll be lodging a complaint with 101, I think, straight away.
In his update, Brett explains how the complaint unfolded, and the response is staggering. The police maintain the officer did nothing wrong, effectively endorsing behavior that supported refusal of legal tender, mishandling of payment, and the misuse of statutory powers to obtain personal data. That isn't a minor oversight. It blurs the boundary between public authority and corporate interest. Brett points out how the situation veered toward something resembling fraud. With his details supplied by police, Sainsbury's could complete a no-means-to-pay document without his consent, fabricating an obligation he never accepted. The issue wasn't simple misunderstanding. It was enabling a private entity to benefit from misapplied police powers. In a further response, Brett shares that although his solicitor confirmed he had grounds to pursue the matter, it wasn't financially worthwhile to take it to court. Even so, consequences followed. The officer's own inspector acknowledged she would be retrained, a quiet but telling admission. Retraining signals that mistakes were made, even if the language used is diplomatic. When an officer requires corrective instruction after a single encounter, it demonstrates that the citizen understood the law better than the person tasked with enforcing it. What makes this encounter remarkable is how a straightforward attempt to pay became a public demonstration of policing errors. Brett wasn't aggressive or evasive. He was exercising his lawful right to settle a debt with recognized legal tender. Yet the response exposed how unprepared some officers are when confronted with someone who understands the law. From the outset, Sainsbury's staff lacked authority to reject legal tender for an existing debt. The escalation occurred because an officer chose to align with corporate policy over national legislation. Rather than de-escalate, she reinforced misunderstanding, treating internal preference as superior to statute. It's a stark example of convenience overtaking justice. Throughout, Brett remained composed and precise. His 50-pound note analogy cut through flawed reasoning, demonstrating that refusal after service is not discretion, it's breach. By the end, the officer had no legal ground left, and sharing his personal details under Road Traffic Act powers compounded the issue. Brett walked away having done more than defend himself. He educated thousands. His calm, informed approach transformed a minor civil dispute into a powerful lesson on standing firm under unlawful pressure. The message is unmistakable: know your rights, stand your ground, and never allow a badge or brand logo to suggest the law bends for convenience.